Okay, so I'm going to be teaching you how to make this cool 3D TV effect. It's pretty easy. You don't need to know too much about Blender to do this. This is a beginner based tutorial. I did leave a link to the project file completely for free, as well as the TV model you can download completely for free. If you want to support me, just make sure to subscribe. I'll be uploading pretty much daily tutorials. Yeah, I appreciate if you guys can check me out, and I'm gonna start yapping now. Let's get into it. Before we start anything, we want to get our clips together. So because there's going to be 3 TVs, I'm just going to have 3 different clips, so sort of like this, and sort of just prepare them out and lay them out in After Effects. You can do this by going at the end of one of your clips and then just clicking N on your keyboard. And now for your render settings, make sure it's set to H2.64 and go to format options and bring this up to something like 30. The output 2, you want to make a new folder and call it something like clips. Put that in there, and we call this one clip 1. And then you can grab this work area thing and then just drag it onto the next clip. So in the description of this video, there will be a link to download a TV model file, open, go to wherever you save the model. So now what we're going to do is we can click on our model here and go to the materials section, see where it says screen, make sure that is selected. Go down to this little red ball icon here and click on the screen material, and you should see like a little menu down here. If you see something like this instead, go to this little clock icon and then go to shader editor, and then you can just bring this window up so you can see what's going on. Delete these 2 nodes, connect the color into the surface, click on this little file icon here and go to wherever you save the clip. I'm just going to use clip 1. For the frames, do something like 300. Make sure cyclic and auto refresh is selected. Now if you click play in the timeline, the video should work. Now I'm going to go to where it ends. Make sure you set the end frame to wherever your video ends, so if you play it, it'll just be a nice loop. As of right now, this shit looks arse because, well, we can't really tell it's on a TV screen. I'm going to bring this little tab open. We are going to select these 3 and just move it out of the way to give us some room. If you go to the video description again, you'll find a texture that looks something like this. Literally just drag it in. Hit Shift A and search for a separate color. Connect the color into the color and do the same thing for your clip up here. I'm just going to disconnect this for now. Add a math node. Because there's 3 colors, there's red, green, and blue. Grab the red from this separate color and put it into the first value, and do the same thing for the red on this separate color, put it into the second value, and just do the same for these 2 values here. So green goes into green and blue goes into blue. Then you want to search for a combine, color, drag that in and connect the value to the red and the green to the green and the blue to the blue. Then we connect the color into the surface, and as you can see, it kind of looks pretty scuffed right now. These 2, the texture coordinate and the mapping node, I'm just duplicating it, the vector into the vector, go to scale here and put this something up to like 200. Do the same thing for the y-axis too. Okay, now this doesn't look right. So you want to change the 3 of these from add to multiplier, and there we go. You can add in a emission and increase the strength. And there we go. As you can see, that looks more like a TV screen. And select the TV here, Shift D, and just click with your mouse button and just move this along. And click this little button right here so we can change this material without it affecting the other one over here. Go to our texture, open image, we can select a different clip, we set the frames to something like 100, and then there we go, that will play. Add camera, and we can also add in a empty, select our camera, so click on the constraints and go to add constraint and go to track 2, click this little eye drop, we want to hover over that empty that we just created. Go to the top right here and you should see this little crosshair thing, drag and click and move it to the left, and they'll split your workspace into 2 windows. Toggle camera view icon here. Okay, so essentially what we've done is we've made this empty our focus point, and that makes life a lot easier when we end up animating the camera. And when you're happy with what you've got, you can go into this little object icon, make sure the camera is selected as well. Make sure they're all selected except for the rotation, and then you can go to the end of your animation here and then just move the camera to where you want it to go. Now if you don't like this camera resolution, You can go to the output file here, and you can always just change the resolution to anything you want, like 1920 by 1080. That's usually like the standard. You can also play around with the focal length on the camera. Go down to the world tab here and just turn the strength down to 0 to add, and you go to mesh and cube, and just scale it up so it covers your whole scene here. Volume, principled volume node, and connect the volume to the volume here, and just play around the settings until you have something that you like. Now this is the lighting setup I went with, so it's just pretty simple. It's just one point light on the right, one point light on the left. So for the rendering, you want to go to this output tab here, and for the output you want to select where you want the render to go, and you want to make sure you're rendering PNG. Some people tell you to render in AVI or FFmpeg, but generally when you're rendering videos or photos in Blender, PNG is one of the best options. It gives you the most quality and color control. Now for the render properties here, I'm going to go into the render, and for the samples I'm going to change this to something like 600. You should adjust this based on how powerful your computer is. Once you're happy with all the settings, you can go to render and go to render animation. So once you import the final render into After Effects, you can actually add some more camera movement to make it more interesting. To do this, I'm just going to add S-shake, and then bring the frequency down to something like 0.4. We might need to put that down a little lower. And then bring down the amplitude to 0.1. That's pretty much it. You could obviously add more effects onto the top of this, stuff like chromatic aberration and motion blur. Once again, if you want to see more content like this, more tutorials, make sure to subscribe. I'll be uploading every single day, and yeah.